Support for this podcast comes from the patrons at patreon.com/FMLFPL. Okay! Welcome to FMLFPL Milan.
This Walsh.
How you doing, brother?
Better today. Back on the
sauce.
Back on the sauce.
Oh
Fully
God.
recovered from my Hawaii sickness.
You just remind me of this unbelievable Hulk Hogan clip I saw the other day. That was just they're interviewing. What was your pre-match meal before you wrestled? He's like, usually 2 Tylenol and 2 or 3 Miller Lights. And they're like, okay, what's your post-match meal? He goes, 11 Miller Lights.
The rest of the 18 that I didn't finish.
It's like, holy shit. What a legend. Love to see it.
I mean, that's from one lifestyle enthusiast to another. Professional podcasters over here, professional entertaining wrestler over there. Same thing.
He should have a lifestyle pod just like us. Call it fantasy wrestling, but it would just be
real wrestling, but it's also just wrestling because it's
exactly.
So how are we doing over there on your side?
We're good. This is the I say it every year, but this is when it gets a little more serious. Last pod we talk about whatever we want. We talk about every player in the game. We can talk about Clivert and other fucking dumbass picks that won't end up in our team. And then it's like, all right, we gotta talk about the big boys, the team that 80% owned guys that everyone's going to have and everyone's going to cap in throughout the entire season is this pod.
Yeah. This is the serious business time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And we do have some admin in terms of business also. We just added a Patreon tier for the first time in a while. It's going to be...
we sort of did.
We adjusted.
We adjusted
and we added a benefit, I guess is one way to say it. We're going to do live streams. We haven't done that before. It's definitely like a trial run for us, but we're thinking Friday mornings, our time. So like 9 a.m.-ish West Coast time, noon New York time, 5 p.m.
or
UK
Thursday
time.
morning. It depends if there's going to be a Friday game or not.
Yeah, we'll
it's going to be a weekly
as it goes, and
we'll do a weekly live stream. So the goal is for you to come on, with your team, or we're just going to talk about your team, your questions, like should I do A or B? What wild card, blah blah blah, whatever.
Yeah,
and we'll just go through as many as we can. In about an hour we'll be on there, and we could talk about obviously lifestyle things as well.
Yeah, but, whatever comes up.
Yeah, whatever's going on. But we're gonna do that.
Mostly rate my team, so we're gonna try that. Might be some other video stuff, in the preseason before we actually start rating teams, but we'll get there.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to figure out things that would be actually additive that other than just the pods that we do, and this is kind of what we came up with that thought it would be kind of enjoyable and just more interaction and interface we could have with you guys that support the pod. And look, it's obviously shilling right now a little bit, but this does keep it going. So if you like our stuff, you like our listening to us, this keeps us going, keeps us having a new year every year instead of being like, oh, sorry guys, like this is the last episode ever. Yep. So we appreciate the support, obviously, and we hope that this kind of is enjoyable and works out, and we'll see you guys in there if you guys subscribe.
And the other
us
tiers are obviously still there, and like the most recommended and the most subscribed by far is just the base level, just Discord tier, ad free tier. It's the best one. Discord's great.
And everyone's the Thursday pod.
And then there's a Thursday pod if you want more pods. I did a fireside yesterday. Speaking of more pods, Walsh has a fireside this week and a fireside next week. So we got a lot more action coming your way.
Yeah. All right. That's it for that. What's next?
It for that. Should we talk about any other shit before we just jumped into the high price players? Like anything new that happened, or like fuck it, or I don't know.
I think it'll just kind of come up as we talk about the teams and shit, like the Fabinho or whatever, this or that.
God, don't remind me.
I mean, we had also discussions about we can't really call this the premium price pod. Or we would have a 13-minute podcast with 8 players to not eat like 5 players. So it's just high price, medium price, low price this year. It's definitely different. We haven't had to semantically change things.
Towers fucking with us here because we can't not reasonably call an 8 million price player premium unless it's Trent. But a forward and a mid who's 8 million, I'll get the fuck out of here. So you know the drill. If you've been here before, we just go through goalkeeper, defender, midfielders, forwards, and today we're just going to talk about the highest priced of those guys. And then next week we'll be back doing the medium price, and then the following week we'll be doing the low price, and then that'll take us right into sort of Just for any newcomers, I just want to say we've always done it this way for the last 3 or 4 years, and we just like it because these are actually the tiers that the players are competing with. These are the transfers to and from you'll be making, versus just doing it team by team or something like that. And obviously the other players on their individual teams will come up, but we just think it's more relevant to sort of be this is what you're shopping at if you're shopping here and who we like here, and go from there.
Yeah.
So, keepers. This is going to be a short segment. Last year, it was, what were the 5? It was Alisson, Ederson, Lloris.
Sounds about right.
I think.
Yeah.
And we kind of were Ederson has a ceiling, and, that's true still. Lloris, we were he has upside because he'll at least make saves and stuff, and then he was a nightmare and got injured. And Alisson, despite Liverpool being a disaster, still gets 162 points. I mean, he is just automatic.
Yeah. Well, he makes saves, and he sometimes gets a lot bonus, of saves,
so and he gets bonus. Yep,
that's good for him.
And he gets an assist or goal every year except one.
Yeah, somehow
fucking ridiculous.
Figures that out. I mean, him and Ederson both kind of have that going for them, somewhat.
Yeah,
but it's just I feel like the way the game is going, especially for game week 1, having a 5.5 goalkeeper is just insane.
It's just insane.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
I mean, when your team value is strictly 100 million, to spend that extra for those few game weeks, it just pound for pound feels very silly to do.
Yeah.
That said, I still would probably like Ederson the best if you want to just get an expensive guy. I mean, he's got better fixtures in the beginning of the season, but I don't think. I mean, I haven't really seen any teams with any of these players in them, but
I haven't seen a single team with these guys. But the one thing I will say, and maybe we can just even transition to defenders from this point, is that last season, and it was a different season because we had the World Cup wild card, and so we all knew we were going to wild card relatively early, which might not be the case this season, even though it's still usually what happens. Is that last season I started with Ederson. I never would start with the 5-5 keeper, but it worked early season, right? Ederson started 9 out of the first 9, and they kept 5 cleans in the first 9 because they had a good run of fixtures. And guess what? They have a really fucking good run of fixtures again, first 7 this season.
Yeah.
And so if you want to just be Ederson started all 9, Cancelo started all 9, Kyle started 7 out of 9, Diaz started 7 out of 9. It does seem like early doors, if you just want to catch a run before Europe starts and a good run of fixtures, it's almost more defensible to me than going later in the season when we just know it's a fuckfest.
Yeah. I mean, that's reasonable. I think the other thing too is the landscape is just really different this year than it has been in the last few years, where there's so many premium defenders that we like, and so many defenses that look good. And this year is just not that case, really, right? So, and even just in terms of even with City, you usually have at least a center back, or Cancelo. We're oh yeah, he plays all the games, so that's great, or whatever, right? And now even just looking at City is, I guess, Diaz.
I think
Stones.
Diaz. Yeah, I think Diaz would be the guy.
But it's still very suspect. So Ederson does have that going for him. If you're looking strictly at the City, the City situation. And, with Liverpool, I think it's really weird with Alisson because, we like getting the cheapest clean, and it's sometimes it is the goalkeeper on these teams because they don't price the goalkeeper that much. But, we have Konate coming in at 5. So, you're basically spending, just that premium when there's, other there's another clean sheet option that you could put in defense for 5, which is something that, we talk about, where does the value lie, or where does it make sense to do?
Right.
Sometimes maybe it's that, but with City, it's not that way.
Yeah, it's not that. Yeah, there's no like nailed automatic guy. Yeah, and Konate's 0.5 cheaper than Alisson, right? And we both kind of think Dias would be the guy for City, and they're the same price.
Yeah, City do have all these 5 million guys, and who knows with Guardiola if that's happening.
Good luck picking one of them, dude.
Yeah, it's just going to be a mess. So
like Ake, Akanji, Stones, Laporte, Walker.
Yeah,
they still have Cancelo.
Walker might go.
Still have Cancelo.
He's still there.
I saw him and I was like, oh, that's a funny error. And I was like looking up to find out what team he's now on. And I was like, oh no, he is still at City somehow.
They can't get rid of him.
Yeah.
No one will take him. No one will have him.
Yeah.
So
Pope is just
Pope
ridiculous.
Is whatever. We don't have to talk about Pope. Okay, so then going over to defense, we sort of talking a little bit. City. So we're gonna just do 5-5
just stick
and up,
with
right?
City. Yeah, 5-5 and up.
Yeah. So City have Cancelo, who's by all accounts not going to be there, not going to work here anymore. And then they have Ruben Dias, and Stones. I don't know. Stones and Dias are definitely names I think to consider if you do want to spend on defense. City do have, 2 promoted teams in the first 3, home Fulham, home NFO. Those are both real good bankers, at Western, at Wolves. You could look at 5 cleans in the first 7 and no one would be surprised.
Their worst fixture is home Newcastle, which could absolutely be a clean.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Their second worst fixture is at West Ham, which should absolutely be a clean, right? Like these are serious. Hardly Boy said, what are your thoughts on City defensive start? 6 of the first 7 weeks are great clean sheet shots on paper. Is it worth sweating the team sheet every week? And that's really what it comes down to. But I go back to last season, sort of where everyone was at game week 1. And I do think that you can pretty much, Ederson should obviously start all the games, but I think someone like a Dias or a Guardiola, if they get him, is they'll probably start 6 of the 7 or something like that. They're going to start majority of the games, barring injury. Listen, you're going to get points.
Stones is in 20% of the teams. So
what?
Yeah. Stones is really popular.
Because people are thinking he's the only one that can do that hybrid right back midfield role. Is that what people are thinking?
He's just their best defender, I think, is what people are thinking. Ruben Dias, it's so weird that they changed his name to Ruben on the fucking site.
They changed him to Ruben, they changed Verge to Virgil, Van Dijk to Virgil.
First names are in vogue in Towers this year, I suppose.
I'm down. Is Trent? No. That would be sick.
His name still extends off the
exactly. I'm sick of the
character.
Sick of the dot.
Yeah. So Stone's in 20%. He's clearly the most popular, but I think he's the Swiss Army knife that can play a couple positions, and he was just so good at the end of last year, even though he was barely playing any Premier League games, as I found out firsthand. But there's just the thing with City defense is just you don't know what you're going to get. He obviously wants to start fast, can't be lethargic, wants to get off to a lead, and like you're saying, does it every year, right? He doesn't rotate a lot, in the first month or two. He wants to just get rhythm, get points on the board, and put the marker down for what they're going to be doing. So, I definitely agree with you that that could be a place to steal a march if you want to spend a little extra in defense. I still like City so much more than Liverpool for cleans.
Oh yeah, it's so much more secure.
Because
last year, consistent.
Right? Yeah, last year, right? Their numbers are always, and last year continued to be the best underlying defensively in the league.
Yep.
It's just they kept destroying everyone, so they just fell asleep at the wheel. Right?
And Ederson had an abnormally bad season,
historically bad season for him.
Yeah.
So, if a couple of those things just kind of trend back towards the mean, median mode, whatever stat term.
Cosine.
Yeah, you could be in good shape there.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
like
said,
it.
I mean, I haven't played with it. I haven't played with any of them or playing with any expensive defenders. This is the type of thing
that only comes up when I'm like looking shit up for this episode, but it's not the type of thing I've actually played with in my team.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think someone like Diash is good. I understand Stones, but I feel like Diash is maybe a little bit more secure, but we'll see what business they do. I mean, if they sell Walker and Cancelo, buy Gvardiol, maybe they're going to buy another fullback or another hybrid guy or something. Who knows, you know?
Yeah, and all these 5 million guys too is, you know, if you can't go 5-5, I mean, I don't hate just throw a dart at Ake as long as you don't have like 4 million defenders on the bench and just be like, you know what, I hope he plays, think he's first choice, we'll see. Because, like we've talked about in seasons past, it's not the most typical common thing that they sub on.
Yeah,
but we'll get there. We'll get there next pod. But yeah, I mean, Stones and Ruben are fine, I think.
Yeah. Fine, not exciting, but it's honest work kind of job. And Ake started a lot of games last season.
Yeah,
until you got hurt.
And we expect Cancelo to go. So the other players in this bracket we have. We'll go over to Liverpool. I guess they have the most occupied spots. So Trent 8, Robbo 6-5, and Van Dijk 6. So what are you seeing there?
Yeah, so Chester said, what's the obvious Robbo versus Trent discussion? Liam said to Trent or not to Trent. LR said, will Liverpool stick to the box midfield with Trent inverted? If so, Mo was a monster in that small 8-game sample. Seems like one of the best differentials in the game. So maybe that's more of a Mo question. And then Ethical said, does Shobo's creativity potentially make Trent worse for FPL? Will he end up being the pass before the assist? The deeper lying playmaker, or Liverpool just better and points for all? I think the easiest place to start here is like Trent versus Robbo, as if that's like a fucking even playing field anymore. It's really very much not. I mean
there's 1.5 between them for a reason.
Yeah, and Robbo is not playing attacking fullback for this team anymore and didn't really do that much attacking once they figured out a system that worked last season. He was kind of third center back-ish. And one of the things we literally talked about it last year on the premium pod was like, why are we picking Robbo over VVD again? And
I think it's ridiculous they're not the same price.
They should be.
Like they're trying to bait casuals or something. I don't know.
The only reason that you and I figured on last year's pod, I remember this vividly, was like because it's just more fun having Robbo. Because it's cooler to get open play assists than to get corner goals.
Yeah, basically.
That's it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're the same fucking player. They get the same points every year. So I wouldn't even put Robbo second. I would put Virgil ahead of him.
Oh, for sure.
Cheaper.
Absolutely.
So that conversation's out of the window. Like, fuck that. Trent, he's in 32% of teams, which is way higher than I thought, to be honest. Because I thought with the gap between him and pretty much every other defender in the game, I thought he'd be a little bit lower on the list. But yeah, I mean, it's borderline impossible for me to not have him in my team, just with my bias and how much I love him and how much I love watching him and how I watch every Liverpool game. It's just, he's so unbelievable and just got better and better throughout the year. I think the new position just adds more points in his locker. He's going to score more goals probably next season than he ever has, just being at the top of the box. He's going to have more options to pass to with the new attacking mids. Just great. I mean, yeah, he's just by far the best defender in the game.
Yeah, definitely the best defender in the game by a lot. I mean, 8 million is going to cost you. But
yeah.
In terms of if they're going to keep keep doing the box midfield, whatever the fuck, 2-2-3, 3-2, whatever they call it, right? I mean, you would think so. I mean, it's not like they just trialed it or dabbled with it last year for a game or two. I mean, he was just doing it consistently for a couple months and to incredible effect. I mean, they were transformed, and you definitely take the enemies by surprise when you're just throwing some complete new shit out. So you have that going for you, but it just looked better, right? I mean, it looked like you're finally, you're just kind of, your best player is Trent and you're getting the most out of him. and that makes sense. So I would expect that to continue.
Me too. I think Szoboszlai and McAllister almost like kind of confirm it, in my opinion, because it just makes so much sense. It just like fits the roles that are needed for a sort of box. It's like Trent can slide in there. It's like you sort of have two attacking 10s. I don't know. Everyone wants to call them 8s, whatever the fuck you want to call them.
Both can get back and play defense too.
Exactly.
They have that part of their game.
Because like he's not really a midfielder, Trent. Like he still has to defend the fullback space when they're defending. It's just as they assert dominance, he moves inside now, and that's the main difference. And Sobo's so good at like going wide, doing what Hendo used to be able to do and no longer has the legs to do.
Like
and Memo goes inside, and it just makes so much sense. I mean, I'm ready to be proven wrong, but yeah, I would be very surprised if that's not what's going. And also, I think like the bigger reason that it's the way to do it, and I think Pep was probably the first person to realize this when he went from Fernandinho to Rodri, is that there are no Fernandinhos anymore in football. No. Like, and there's no Contes either. It's like we've evolved past the one guy who can defend every blade of grass situation. Yeah. Teams are too good. Teams are too attacking. They are too good at countering. It doesn't work anymore. And we saw that with how bad Fabinho was for the first 29-ish games of the season. And then once it was a Fab and Trent with 3 center backs behind them, he was great and Liverpool were great. And I just think that that's way more realistic of a job.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So back on with Trent for just the FPL game.
Yeah.
The fixtures are bad. I mean, to me, they look just bad for cleans. Home Bournemouth, we know they did the huge destruction last year, 9-0, right? Was it 9-0, was it?
9, yeah.
And he had like 25 points in that game or something. But other than that,
and that was Scotty
we don't
Parker.
Know,
I mean,
we don't know what kind
almost.
of... Yeah, we don't know what kind of Nick Bournemouth are going to be in this year. I mean, countering with their new guy. I mean, that might not even be that good. But let's say it's a home banker. I mean, they just don't really have any, and we aren't picking Trent for the whole season. We're going to be wild carding somewhere in the first couple months. So, I mean, that is the one thing that I keep looking at with him. As much as I love him and as much as he's, I think both of our, among our favorite players in the league.
Yeah, for sure.
I just don't see great clean sheet, and especially with their spine being completely ripped upside down. I mean, the same back 4, but a complete new midfield 3. I mean, it just takes one miscommunication for 10 seconds and someone's in behind. And I'm nervous about that turnover. So I know people are talking about like, oh yeah, whatever, he's just an 8 million midfielder, just think of him in that term. And it's like, okay, whatever mental gymnastics you want to do, that's fine. But at the end of the day, he's not a fucking winger. He's not an 8-field. He's a defender. I mean, he's going to be playing on the edge of the box some, but you're not comparing him to fucking out of position forwards that we get like Bumo or something, or even like Martinelli, who are actively
he's not on pens.
Yeah. So he needs cleans, he needs the cleans to be trickling in. So, I mean, just looking at their first 8, like, I think 3 cleans would be like my optimistic view.
Yeah. I mean,
it's at Chelsea, home Bournemouth, at Newcastle, home Villa, at Molineux, home Western, at Spuds, at Brighton. They're bad for cleans.
I mean, 7 and 8 make it even worse. Like, if you're looking more short term, first 6, it's like
you could talk yourself into...
only like shouts are like home Bournemouth, at Wolves, home West Ham. I mean,
and at Wolves,
the other 3 are at Chelsea, at Newcastle, home Villa. I mean, home Villa, at home, it's way better than away.
I mean, maybe.
But maybe, but
it's iffy.
It's a stretch. I mean, the 2 things to say. So first of all, the Fab and Hendo chat, I guess we're gonna like have that a little bit right now, but it's such a nightmare. I mean, people are spinning it however they want to spin it, like, oh, it's good, oh, we're gonna get someone better, like blah blah blah. You could get the best fucking CDM in the world. He has 3 weeks to train. He might not speak English. It's gonna be a hard transition. It's probably like one of the most complicated tactical positions to play for Liverpool. This like 6 that transitions to a double pivot that sometimes pushes up, that sometimes covers left back, sometimes covers right back. Like it's intense. And so I think I'm trying to think of a way to word it. I think Fab and Hendo out, assuming they go, like lowers the floor for Liverpool considerably, even though you could argue it also raises the ceiling because Hendo's old and not that good, and Fab is old and had a rough season last season, you know?
Well, it's good for the overall long-term age profile trajectory of the team, but in the immediacy of here are your first 8 games in the Premier League, it's just net disaster.
That's what I mean by lower the floor. It's like it would be shocking if some new guy who comes in with 3 weeks to train is as good as Fab. Like that would be crazy. I would be stunned. It doesn't matter who it is. I really don't give a shit who it is. It's a step in the right direction in like another rebuild season. You know, and like in a year or two, Liverpool's team is looking really young and good, whatever. But I agree with you. It's not good. But on the other side, the sort of like defense for Trent, the way he ended last season, I mean, last 10 games, they kept 3 cleans.
He still got shit ton of
and he had
shitting
6 points a game.
Yeah. So, you know, if he's assisting every game, sure. It's hard to hang your hat on that, is all I'm saying.
Absolutely. I don't think he'll get a goal and 7 assists in 10 games again.
Yeah.
But he has that, you know.
He will, but will it be the first, he'll go on that run, but it's...
Right. So it makes it a little more tolerable because you can talk yourself into, okay, first 6 games, can he keep 2 cleans? And if the answer is yes, then like that's probably enough.
Yeah, it could be good enough.
Right, because like with the assists and other stuff and bonus, he's just his bonus also just went to like a whole nother level in the midfield. So
I think he's tough. I think it is tough. Just because the fixtures are so bad. I mean, they're like almost as bad as I could imagine.
Well,
writing them down.
And it's just like the price, right? I mean, I've seen people in our Discord be like comparing like Trent and Martinelli to 8 million players, right? It's not the same.
Yeah, it's the second
Trent to any defender, but we're talking about Trent to a very solid, safe, good pick is 3.5 million because you can get a 4 or 5 defender on a top 7 team who's nailed.
Yeah.
But
Botman,
Martinelli,
Cash,
you can't
whatever.
go to Martinelli to a fucking 4 or 5 and expect more than 1.5 points per game. That world doesn't exist. Yeah. So he's effectively like significantly more expensive than Martinelli, because of the position.
Yeah.
So
and that's not the right way of looking at the comparison. It's like but I think Virgil van Dijk is like really interesting at 6. I think there will be a time in the season when they settle. That, maybe he'll be 5'9" or 5, whatever. That he'll be a really good option again when our team values are maybe a little bit higher because, Trent kind of blows it out of the water, but Verge is, 2 years ago, 183, like 170. He has a 200-point season in him, and he is. I don't know how he ends up with like 2 or 3 goals. Like how he doesn't get minimum 5.
We've talked about this before.
We always talk about this.
A decision.
He doesn't try or
almost.
Something.
It's like now I'm gonna go score, and then he just like towers over everyone and scores.
Easily
and then
scores.
The next 8 corners, it's like, where is he?
He doesn't even jump.
It's really weird. Yeah. It's really weird. It's almost like design plays. It's like throw to him more,
Yeah. Yeah, not a game week 1 pick, but I do love him at 6 million. I think there will be a time eventually. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also hard. Konate's 5. We're not talking about it in this episode, but he should start every game and fucking that's a lot of savings. 3 million cheaper than Trent.
Yeah, he's a donger. Hell. Yeah, I think that's a really viable pick. But again, with him, you have to be, you're 1,000,000% buying the clean. So that has to be a good run. And we don't know what defensive team this is, that kind of thing. Like Trent is a complete, But Trent will come on to this, I think, maybe more when we talk about Mo, but it does seem like it's Trent or Mo, not Trent and Mo. So that's also a difficult one. And let's do that.
It's giving people a lot of trouble this year.
Yeah, which it should.
You know,
I mean, that's
Liverpool
good.
kept the same number of cleans last year as Arsenal and Newcastle.
Yeah, that sounds
in
about
what
right.
is a complete disaster of a season.
Yeah.
It can't really be worse than that.
So let's go over with Trips coming in at 6'5". You know, he was one that we were both actual on game week 1 last year. That was that was your big shout of the preseason. Unfortunately for me, I got rid of him like game week 2 or 3 or something, like a fucking monsoon.
As he used 5 million and scores 198 points.
I was like, oh, you got me 2 cleans. Like, thanks, buddy. Like, I have to go get some shithouse instead. But, 6'5". He's in 34% of teams right now.
That was Warren's question. It says Trippier seems highly selected by the Gen Pop, 34%, but not in the FPL Twitter bubble. Are we overthinking it? Should he just be great again?
What are you seeing with Trips?
It's a really big price hike, and it's a really bad run.
Yeah,
they're home Villa, at City, home Liverpool, at Brighton. Before, maybe a good run. Maybe game week 5, we're talking about him, but that run is terrible in game week 1. They ended the season not keeping cleans. I don't know. I'm not really seeing it. Not really seeing it.
I mean, spending $2 million more for Trips to Botman seems absolutely mental to me.
It's crazy. The defense was significantly worse as the season wore on. They ended pretty poorly. They had some really bad ones against Leeds, Chelsea.
I mean, Redford. I think Newcastle are still going to be fine this year.
I think they're good.
They're good, but they're not going to keep half the game's clean sheets. I mean, he got fucking 40 bonus points last year. I mean, I get it. He puts in a lot of unsuccessful crosses, and they love that shit in this game, but 9 assists. It just feels like he had this, kiss from God, nectar of God season that he's just going to crash back down to something in the, 140, 150 point region. I still expect him to be a top 10 point scorer in the defenders. But with the bonus, I mean, it's hard not to with the bonus points. He's basically getting he plays extra games or something. But,
he has 6-point assists.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, he seems like it's just a bad pick. And just to reiterate yours, the fixtures are horrendous at the beginning of the season. They could easily not keep a clean.
And just he's not attractive, because he's just we all had him for 38 game weeks last season. I just don't want him again. I'm sure there's probably a little bit of negative bias that we both have there.
I'm sure there is some to some extent. I generally like fading this team though, honestly. I mean, I don't believe in Edward at all. I think he just kind of fell into something that worked for a few months. And, most of the games that I watched them play, they were sort of dumb and bad, just sort of playing conservatively, controlling the ball, not giving up good chances and just nicking the winning games by 1 goal. I just feel like everything went right for them last year. And a year on, I mean, they add the fucking kid from Italy, Tonali,
which is a big upgrade. No matter what you think of him, it's him to Longstaff is ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it's a big upgrade. They have more games to play this year.
Yep.
And I mean, Schär, I don't know. Getting 3,000 minutes out of Schär again feels like that's insane.
How about getting 3,000 minutes out of Trips again?
Well, he just kind of runs up and down. I don't know. He's been historically.
He never stays fit, though. He never stays fit.
Yeah, he's just older.
He hasn't played 3,000 minutes since 2014 with Burnley.
In the Prem, but what about with that in life? Yeah, but I think he also, to me, with him though, is he's just got older and maybe just more professional. He was so much more of a fucking chav lad when he was younger.
At gambling
the gambling.
Remember that
friends.
Shit?
Yeah, telling his friends where he's going and shit. And
they bet that he's going to Madrid. That's so fucking.
But
funny.
now he's just the captain of the team. So I buy that narrative, but I just feel like they don't have good enough players up and down the pitch with depth to just keep doing this kind of shit. if you lose Shar and what are you playing fucking Burn at center back? I mean, I love Botman. I think he's incredible. And, he's definitely a bankable asset. But, you lose Jolinton for a little bit. I mean, Bruno G is kind of in and out. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just finding reasons to not want to say Trips is a good pick, but I don't buy their sustainability.
I think we're both kind of just finding reasons to not pick him because I think all in all, he is still a good pick. He is still going to score top 10 points. It's just that probably, I'm more speaking for myself, but I just think that like the way Tinkers have gone, it just feels absolutely stupid and crazy to be like, oh, I'm going to upgrade my 4 or 5 nailed center back to Trips.
Well, it's also insane to
I expect the points to be,
for game week 1, when they have one, mediocre fixture and 3 absolutely horrendous fixtures. Like, why would you want really a 6-5 defender when you look at their first 4 games and you're like, I don't think they're going to keep 1 clean sheet, which is what you would expect looking at those first 4 games, I think. I mean, you maybe home Villa game week 1 is, I think that's bad. First game of the season, that seems like that's just going to have
definitely
goals.
Don't expect a clean.
Yeah. I mean, that fundamentally doesn't make sense to me. Like, okay, let's talk again in game week 5 when they start to play some promoted teams and shit. And if they look like they're competent and they're not getting, huge step backwards. But for game week 1, it just doesn't seem like it makes any sense whatsoever to me.
Really the answer is that the fixtures are just too bad. And so we'll just reevaluate in game week 5. And I could definitely see a world where we're wild carding by then, and then it's like, oh, he's 6'3", and they have a good run, and now's the time. It's like, something like that could definitely happen.
It still, to me, feels like it's going to be insane to pick him over like a Botman in the all year, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
I mean, what were the minutes last year? I mean, Trips played 200 more minutes than Botman, so 3 games or something like that. I mean, he scored 70 more points.
I just don't see it happening again. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just.
I mean,
I guess if Botman converts a couple
goals
of his chances, I
mean, he could score 5 goals in a season.
But they're going to be all assisted by Trips.
That's true.
It has to be, So
we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see in game 5.
And then
who else is 5'5" and up?
Benny White over there.
Yeah,
he's 5'5". I don't think we really need to talk about him. I mean, when everyone else, he's the most expensive player for no good reason. And then I think it's interesting to talk about Chilwell and James over at Chelsea, right?
Yeah.
What are you looking at there?
Reece is like already hurt or something, right?
He's the captain and not fit, so he's just doing it all.
I mean, it's just like a ridiculous thing with this guy. So I don't really believe in that at all. I more have my eye on like fucking Gusto. I'm if is Reece out long term, we could get a 4-0 Gusto or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know what's his name's obsessed with Lewis Hall, but Chilwell's just better. I mean, there's definitely a line where these guys are really good and underpriced and score a lot of points, and Poch has them humming. But game week 1, they're home Liverpool. Don't expect a clean. Then they have a really good run after that.
Well, at West Ham's not a good clean, I don't think.
I think it's okay.
I don't know. Their home opener at Olympic. I don't expect
it's not ideal, but it's okay, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still a Moyes team. Yeah. But I mean, I don't really expect them to be that defensively robust at the very start of the season. They still haven't gotten Moises, so they still only have one midfielder as it stands. I think it's a wait and see. I just think their whole team is sort of a wait and see, even though the fixtures are so tempting.
Yeah, I would rather, punt on the attacker from Chelsea than the defender because, they will need time to get the system down. And, Poch is kind of like a system clean sheet guy. Once, they're not just a defensive team, but when they are playing, his football, they just dominate so hard that the cleans come. It's just the challenge with this is, you wait and see, and then the fixture runs over. Yeah. So you kind of have to make your bet. And, I think you're going to be looking at either preseason's telling you enough that you're going to just jump in and maybe you could hide a player or two if you want to gamble on someone like Chilwell or, say by the good grace of Jesus Christ himself, Reece James is fit for game week 1 in a month's time from this recording. Do something silly like that. But, they have Luton, NFO, Bournemouth, Villa, Fulham, Burnley, that run right there.
They have such a good run after Liverpool.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So, you can either do the preseason thing and just buy, or, okay, game week 3, home Luton, I'm just going to use those 2 games to see who's playing. And if Chilwell is fit, like, sure, they could concede 5 goals in those 2 games. I'm just going to go for it for the run and see if it just clicks. That's going to depend on what kind of manager you are and what position your team is in. But
I like that more. I think, especially for the defense, I agree with you there. I'd rather punt on an attacker because, basically, who knows with Poch, right? He basically hasn't managed at club level in like years because PSG doesn't count. But the way that Espanyol and Southampton and Spurs, they press very fucking high. They try and win the ball back in transition. They try and dominate the ball in the attacking third, which means they're exposed, until it clicks. So I'd much rather have my chips in on the attacker, who might get lots of chances despite errors at the back, as opposed to the defenders who might just be scrambling and just, no cleans or something, conceding a lot of goals early on, or yellows because they're chasing someone down from behind or some stupid shit like that.
Yeah, the only thing with, James and Chilwell is they're going to be playing up in the final third a lot. So, they're also going to be getting, good looks at assists and attacking returns if, they are playing with his system too. So, well, this is, Chelsea and Spurs as well, as we'll come on to them and we move to other positions here. Preseason is going to be so important just to see what's going on over there and, who he's preferring, what the new managers are preferring with him and Ange and Spud's case. So, I'm very wait and see though on Chilwell and James specifically though. Yeah.
What was the season? Was it? I can't remember what season it was, but there was a season when Rose and Walker were just like such good picks in fantasy, like on Poch Spurs.
Yeah,
like just attacking.
Like 7 years ago or something.
Yeah, like 2014 or some shit. I don't remember the season, but like there was a season when they were both really attacking, not that expensive fullbacks, and we know the quality of Reece and Chilwell. So yeah, it's definitely punts, but they're interesting. They're definitely
and the backups at both of their spots are cheap as fuck. So
cheap
one of
and
or both
talented.
Yeah, one or both. Well, I've never seen this Gusto guy. I don't even know what he looks
me
like.
neither, but everyone says he's just like really young, good prospect.
Hall's definitely has good quality. So
Hall.
All right, so that's that. And then the last guy here before we go to midfield is Luke Shaw, who's in 35% of teams. Really
35% of teams.
Manchester United, don't forget, most people are Manchester United fans, so they get helium on their ownership percentages.
And most cleans in the league last season.
Yeah. So what are you seeing from Shaw?
I got to say, I tweeted this and I had a lot of Manchester United fans agreeing with me, which made me feel good about this take, but I want nothing to do with their defense after the Onana move. I love Onana, and he's so much better than De Gea in almost every way, but they're going to be like high pressing. They're going to be changing their system. They have fucking Mount in a weird midfield role. I just think they're going to concede a lot of goals. Their defensive numbers were actually not that good last season outside of the most cleans in the league, and the underlying numbers weren't that good. And I just expect as they learn, they'll struggle a little bit and then they'll be better once they get there. But I'm just not there at all. I haven't really considered Shaw. I didn't know he's that highly owned. They do have home Wolves, home NFO, 2 of the first 3, but the other games are at Spurs, at Arsenal, home Brighton in their first 5.
I think if you're planning a game week 3, if you're one of those who wild cards early, that's the only way I could see. I agree with you. There's going to be some growing pains there with the getting. I don't think it's as dramatic, maybe, or as drastic as, I don't maybe agree as much with, Onana's in. So therefore it's going to be kind of like this huge learning curve, but they have 2 home bankers in the first 3, which is more than you could say about like literally every other team in the division, for cleans. Yep. Yeah. So I think that's the attraction to me. I mean, I've been nowhere near Shaw, but you know, they also have 5 million defenders or whatever. But you know, broadly speaking, you know, Shaw just generally, to me, you know, he's good on bonus points last year, but he's just so underwhelming. You know, I mean, you fucking watch his little fat ass up there doing stupid shit like 3 or 4 assists a year. It's like, what are you doing here? You know, you're hoping for a clean and a yellow card and 2 bonus 7 point. It's like enough. You know,
he's so annoying.
Yeah, he's just fucking annoying, and I can't imagine ever owning him again in FPL.
His points per start last season 4.1. Yeah. That's just not a 5-5 defender right there.
Yeah,
that's just like not a good deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the Onana thing didn't really come from me. It was from like these other United guys that were writing about it, and basically what they're saying is like, you don't get Onana if you're not implementing a really high press and a high line. Like there's no, because his best ability is like sweeping and. You know,
he's standing way the fuck out of his box, like doing all the crazy Neuer. Like he's like Neuer shit.
Yeah,
Neuer
exactly.
Shit.
And he's insanely good at it. But it's still going to be an adjustment for all of the back four, you know? And
absolutely.
I mean, we'll get to Mount, I guess, on the next pod, and we'll probably talk about him a little with Bruno in the next segment. But like, I also am just like, okay, so Casemiro is the only midfielder at the club who can like win a ball ever, and he fucking makes runs into the box all the time. Like they just don't have like is it gonna be Mount and Bruno rotating to like cover for Casemiro's runs? And like this is all weird. I don't know what's gonna happen.
We'll have to see how he adjusts it, but
it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah,
but I don't want Shaw.
Yeah, I mean, we'll move on to midfield. Just one other thing, just looking at this, right, is I think something that we've been touching on is like, you know, you look at someone like Shaw or someone like White. You know, they're 5.5, you know, and you look, we're comparing them all to their own price bracket, but they're more expensive than all their other defenders. And there are nailed defenders that are cheaper. And these are just players who don't offer enough attacking intent me to warrant spending extra money on them. Like, I mean, I'd rather have like Lissandro at 5 or whatever, even though he's, 4 feet tall, or, literally any of the other 5 million defenders on Arsenal. So that's a death knell for them also.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's weird that it's like recency bias that they even went so far as to price these players more than their counterparts, right? I mean, if you did the pricing in Game Week 20 instead of after Game Week 38 last season, no way in hell Ben White's 5.5 and the rest of the team's 5. It's just not even like remotely possible, because you didn't start like getting random attacking returns until late in the season, and then he's 5.5. But, he didn't get more points than even like Saliba, who's absolutely 1,000,000% nailed and 0.5 cheaper. It's just like ridiculous.
Yeah. And then, with Chilwell and James, like, okay, they're, you're probably going to have a 4 or 5 route in. They're players who are, okay, they can attack enough that they're worth, like, I think Trips and like Trent, those are sort of interesting options where, Trips is 2 million more, which is so much. And I just like, I feel like his pedigree and just watching. Yeah. But I mean, Trent is Trent. He's one of the best players in the actual world. Trips just spams crosses. I mean, that's what he does. When I watch him play, he just spams crosses. So you can also come out on a negative end season of that where he gets 5 assists.
Yeah, you actually delivery. You reminded me of something that I wanted to also say with Trips, where I think, from my eye at least, down the stretch, and part of the reason that they were blowing a lot of those cleans was I think teams realized that like we just go at Trips. Mm-hmm. Like, he can't defend for shit. Their entire ball progression and passing and chance creation relies on him. And we just fucking press him, crowd him, go over the top of him, make him track back, and he's a nightmare.
Yeah, because what are they going to... They're going to fucking play a switch to... Check's notes, Dan Burn at left back.
Yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous. So, I mean, that is also...
That's a thing.
Probably limiting him, and he slowed down at the end of the season big time. So.
All right, let's move. This is a big one here, baby. We're going to have to do a pee-pee break for sure. All right, so we got midfield coming up. Yep. What are we doing, 8 and up?
8 and up, yep.
8 and up. So let's start at the... Yeah, we got to. Let's start at the tippy top. Mohamed Salah.
Yeah. We talked about him a lot last week, so maybe we don't need to talk that much about him, but we did get some questions. Bolter said Mo versus Kane. Bear, do we need Salah and Trent, or can we cover pool the combo like Trent or Trent plus Gakpo, etc.?
The C word we're covering already.
Yeah, I don't know. always be covering. Mo's at 26% ownership. I thought it'd be because of Kane or Trent from Psychov, but they're at 17 and 34% respectively. Is it because everyone's just cramming in 6.5 to 9 million mids in their team? Isn't betting against Mo a huge gamble? And then Jitter, my current tinker has no Mo and no Trent. I'm thinking of buying whichever cheaper pool attacker looks good in Game Week 1 for Game Week 2 home Bournemouth. Is this a smart or dumb strategy? And then last one is X50 said, when making teams for Game Week 1, there seem to be two pieces of general FPL wisdom. One, put your faith in players who have proven themselves as reliable point scorers. Two, don't stray too far from the template. Essentially, don't take unnecessary risks. This season, Mo's not template, but he's proven, yada, yada, yada. So where have you changed on Mo since we last spoke, since last pod?
Yeah, I think having him for captaincy Game Week 2 is big. I think that's a really big deal. But there are a lot of question marks with this Liverpool team because of the over. There's just such a dramatic overhaul of player. Assuming that Fab and Hendo go. Hendo might not go. That looks like that's way further away from happening than Fab.
But at this point, I feel like we should say that neither might go. Even though Fab seems like it's a done deal. 5 days ago, it seemed like Hendo was a done deal. And now all of a sudden they're like cutting the price. And he's like, wait, what? I don't know.
Yeah. But, so that is the thing. I'm also, he's fucking old. Mo is old,
Yeah.
He takes his shirt off, you take a picture, like, oh my God, like I want to eat sushi off your abs every day. But ultimately he's 32 or whatever, right? Like he's old as shit. He's like one of the old, he's on the wrong side. He's gonna
he's 31. Yeah, he just turned 31.
So it's just, 12-5 fucking fortune. Is he gonna, it's just like, is he going to be in your team all year? Probably not. I think those days are behind us. Days are behind us. I think it really literally just comes down to how badly do you want him to cap Game Week 2? Because, they have goals in and around those Game Week, at Chelsea, they'll score. They fucking always score. It's what narrative are you going to buy into with him? Is like, okay, they were doing the new shit with Trent, with Soboslai. Like, it's just going to be such overwhelming quality on the right side that teams are going to have no fucking idea what to deal with, and they're going to put Mo inside more, so he's going to shoot more. Fine, like he's declining. So is his decline? What are you going to believe? He's going to score 20 goals.
Paint your own story.
Yeah. I'm sure he's going to score 20 goals. He's always available, always fit. He's a fitness monster. You know what you get in your team when you don't have him. It's back to the same kind of principle of if you are captaining Haaland 9 out of 10 game weeks, what are you doing spending 12.5 on anybody? It doesn't matter what their name is.
Yeah.
That's sort of the thing that keeps nagging at me. So then ultimately it comes back to, well, when am I going to wild card? Because if I'm starting with Mo, I want a wild card earlier rather than later, because I want to redistribute that money when I know, which 8 to 9 million, which 7.5 players are just fucking mistake prices, because there are going to be several of them.
Yeah.
I don't know that Game Week 1. I have a good idea of which ones they're going to be, but I don't know that right now. I feel like by Game Week 4, we'll know that. And so, I'm kind of I have an eye on that as an option. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's really smart. I think that this is something that we say every year and remains to be true, which is that the most expensive player in each position is therefore the most flexible player in each position. And I don't even think you need to be thinking wildcard, because by virtue of being the most expensive player, it's very easy. Mo can go to any midfielder in the game.
Double swap.
Straight, boom. And Arsenal guy, Son, fucking Man United guy, whoever the fuck it is. We don't know who it is, which is another key point that you brought up. We don't know. We just know there's a pool of guys, and any one of them could be the guy. It could be fucking Bowen. Who knows? But yeah, Mo can get to any of them very easily, whether it's Game Week 3, 4, 5, whatever, whenever you want to do it. after 2. I think that's a great point. I also think that the Game Week 2 captaincy, I mean, all we've talked about is Haaland, who's home Newcastle, which, you could always captain Haaland at home. I don't think that's a mistake, but
I agree.
Everyone else also has bad fixtures is another thing. Is right. Yeah. Man United's at Spurs. Arsenal's at away Palace, which
Monday night. That's not going to be an easy game for them.
It's not going to be fun. Spurs, home United, Chelsea are at West Ham. It's like, who are you capping? Like Ollie, home Everton?
And you can't captain Luton or Burnley. They don't have a game.
They have a fucking blank already. So I can't wait for their double. What a fucking huge double that's going to be.
Scenes. Should I have the Burnley goal or the whatever backup goalie for the double in game week 6?
Yeah, it's like, do I cap Bell or Brownhill? And it's tough calls, but
kill me.
Yeah, I think all those points you made are great, and I'll just to further add on top of it a little bit. I mean, Mo's numbers skyrocketed when Liverpool changed that formation, right? And that was part of Liverpool playing well. Everything was up, touches in the box, shots, XG, all the shit, and I think Szoboszlai just makes that even better. I mean, he is the perfect guy to go wide, fill that wing space, let Mo cut inside. And yeah, like LR said, I mean, I think that it's very rare, but I feel like he's legit one of the best differentials in the game. I mean, he's not that highly owned, and we basically know for a fact that he's going to score over 200 points.
Yeah, which is something to be said. I mean, there were a couple of hints at that and, outright stakes at the questions, right? Where he is guaranteed not possible to get under 200 points. It's actually not possible if he plays 3,000 plus minutes, which, he typically does. Yep. So, you just look at that return rate, he has pens.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. So, they have a lot of firepower. The fixtures are certainly a mixed bag. But again, the game week 2 captaincy, right? I mean, he's in a quarter of the teams. So, game week 1, if you have Mo in the template, and you're somewhere within some hurt, I mean, you could just spike something game week 2 and, 75% of the team just don't even have him.
And he can't get to him.
Yeah, and he gets
they don't
30,
have him and can't get to him.
Yeah, I mean, you get say you had a captain brace or something. You say it's a fucking 30 points in game week 2 and Haaland gets, 6 points or whatever. You're just like, holy shit, this is great. I'm doing so good. Life's happy. Life's good.
Yeah, and like you said earlier also, I mean, at Chelsea, at Newcastle, they're not great fixtures. He could fucking brace in either of those games.
Yeah.
Literally. And then, again, 75% of people don't have them. They all have, whatever trendy 8-5 there was, was the pick before game week 1. And we know half of those guys aren't going to work out. We just don't know which ones, you know?
Yeah, which is, so Mo, we know who he is. We know what he is. We know how bankable he is. We know there's not a lot of, in air quotes, value with him in the game with Haaland. That said, the value might be in fucking Bumo and Eze or some shit, and not, these 8-5 mids that we are all salivating over. And then all of a sudden, the joke's on you.
I think the combo of we know what we're getting, like bankable, nailed on, blah, 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 everything you could say about Mo, best fantasy asset of all time there, mixed with most flexible, can get to any mid in the game, can jump on any bandwagon in the game, I think is just too alluring for me. It's like a risk-free kind of pick because it has high upside. You're getting Mo. It's safe as they come in terms of player, team, points, etc. And whoever's popping off, you miss the 9 million mid, you miss an 8.5 million mid, you miss a 6.5 million mid, whatever, boom, he's in your team.
Yeah, I think the risk is just, who are you leaving out? Who do you not have? But, we'll come on to that later on, I think. Right. And so, we have Kevin, he's sitting over there 10-5, he's injured. He's not going to start off the season healthy, so.
Yeah, Jota's 8, so technically in this pool, but we're not fucking going
we're not fucking with that. So Rashford and Bruno, we could, let's talk about them together. So, we know Rash 9, Bruno 8.5. Initially I'm just looking at both being like, these are both, pretty shooed into my team. and this is something that it looks like is the sacrifice, really one of and not both.
Yeah,
seems to
for
be
sure.
what I'm
I don't think you
with.
could do both.
Yeah, it would be, you don't have Saka or something,
you don't have
which
Trent.
seems, well, I don't have Trent, but
okay.
Ultimately, having both, if you are going to go with whatever. How do you see Rashford and Bruno kind of playing out, from game week 1 and then and then also just in the season, the landscape of the season?
Yeah, I mean, Bruno is such a good player, and I feel safe when I own him because, I don't know, it's so annoying when he gets points and you don't own him because he's just such an annoying bitch. But, I mean, your points last week were good. I mean, right? Like, this is a guy who's got 17 returns in back-to-back seasons, playing over 3,000 minutes in both seasons. I mean, he shouldn't be double digits, even though it feels like it was just yesterday when he scored 244 points and got 10 penalties. The fact of the matter is, without 10 penalties, he's not that player. And yeah, he's under his XA, etc. Well, they still have the same guy. He's still passing to the exact same players. So, that's not surprising to me that he's passing to like Anthony, who's curling one from outside the box and it doesn't go in.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, what you also said about Rashford last week was just like, if he's fit, how is he not getting all of these returns? And I think I just agree. I mean, we were all talking about Rashford pre-game week 1 last season, just being like, he shouldn't be 6'5". Yeah. Right? Like, he's put up 170 points back-to-back seasons. He was hurt the season before last. That's the only reason he got 63 points. He played 1,200 minutes, yada, yada, yada. He went from 9'5" to 6'5". Boom, 200 points, 17 goals, best season of his career, arguably, and yada, yada, yada. But, like, the team's good. The chance creation is better with Mount in there. They're probably going to get a striker. Anyone they get is better than fucking Tony or Wout. Yeah, it's just hard to imagine Rash just not getting points. I mean, he's still the primary goal scorer by a lot. Even if they get someone like Haaland, Rashford's still the primary goal scorer. He's more of like a hold-up chance creator kind of guy. Yeah. So I'm more into Rash as of now, and I'm curious also what you think about how Mount maybe steps on Bruno's toes a little bit, because I feel like he probably will a little, just by nature of like being in the same positions, right? Like they can't both get the cutback. It's one or the other is going to receive the cutback, right? Like Mount's going to take some set pieces, just like Eriksen took a lot of set pieces off Bruno too last year.
Bruno
right?
should be on no set pieces other than pens.
Right. So Mount should be on those. I think Ten Hag even made a comment about that in the preseason. So it's hard to argue that Mount won't lessen Bruno's, goal involvement overall, even though he's going to technically like create more chances. I think he'll like take more away from Bruno. But it's better for Rash. No question. Having another guy who could pass, having another guy who can dribble, having another guy who can drive in field.
Yeah, it just makes the attack
go
more
wide
dynamic.
And let Rash cut inside, like just like Szoboszlai and Mo, So yeah, I like Rash, and I have him in my latest tinker, and I don't have Bruno. So.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it pens is the biggest deal because you say that he doesn't have 10 pens and then he doesn't have 2 pens. Well,
he might.
Last year they had fucking like 2, and that's Man United typically get, I would say, 7. This is the team that usually is among the top 5 in the league of pens.
Yeah.
So those are free fucking
I
points,
fucking hate pens so much.
Fine, that's fine, but let's not digress into a pen rant because we're running long here. But it's
they had 14 in 1920. They had 11 in 2021. They had 5 in 21-22, and they had 3 last year.
So there might be some like backlash against like Man United get all these pens, and maybe they're doing something like that.
Yeah, but still the median there is like 8.
Yeah. So, it really, I think, does come down to how, as an FPL player and manager, how heavily do you weight pens? Like, how much do you want the penalty taker? Because it's very clear that in open play, Rashford's a better pick. And, there is a very narrow 0.5 margin between the two players. So,
yeah.
that literally the only real feather in Bruno's cap over Rashford is he has pens. So, if you're looking at some little every season of 38 game weeks is a small sample size, he could just spike those and, lay waste to the price.
He's going to have between 2 and 8 free goals.
Yeah, which every goal, let's count, say there's 7 points for him.
Yeah, because he's so good on bonus.
Yeah, that's a lot of points.
It's just a ton of points. It's so annoying, man.
So you have that, right? You have that just looking at and thinking about. But I think the Mount issue is just good for everybody. Like, I feel like this is the
Even
problem.
Bruno?
Yes, because the team is just going to be so much less reliant on Bruno. So enemies can't just be like, okay, well, this is the guy that runs all over the fucking pitch without a position, trying to do every job. He's getting help now. And he's so fucking good. Like finding space, shooting, passing, at everything. And when he just has better players around him, I think he could hit a new level that maybe we haven't seen. Like the 18 goal, 14 assist season, he obviously had a shit ton of pens, but the team was completely built around him. They had nothing and no one else going for really anything. And, it was just like, get Bruno the ball, like do stuff, shoot everywhere, do everything. I feel like there's a happy medium that, he's going to be the captain of the team this year. They have high ambitions. He's a fitness monster. He's always available. I still feel like he's just an incredible pick.
Yeah, I should be clear. I don't want to say he's a bad pick.
No,
I just think if you're choosing
between
two. Yeah.
Because that's what's happening is it's like you can't have both. Because to me, when I made my team initially without thinking,
you just instantly
3 minutes,
put both in, right?
They're both in immediately. It's not even a question. It's like these are both underpriced, great picks, great players. Whether or not I think Man United are a great team is something else, but they certainly have, good attackers, have a system, have good players, and they have some really, some good goal. Home Wolves, at Spurs, home NFO, and then, those are their goals in those games, So, I agree with you. If I have to gun to head pick one, I want Rash because I do agree with you that he is the main goal scorer, and the chances go to him, and Bruno's open play goals are so much less predictable and reliable and bankable. They're just, he finds space in a late run here or there, and he does fuck his fair share of chances up. Let's not misunderstand anything with him, but he's not, a huge goal scorer, and he's just not. So he is more of like a reliant on the pens coming in, getting the bonus points, and getting assists. And, the other thing with that, 244 point season he had in 2021, 14 assists, he took every single set piece on the team. He's so fucking horrible at them, but he took every single one, and he's taking 0. That's again 3 assists minimum, basically, just free, just eliminate them, so he's getting the free goal points, but he's not getting the free set piece points anymore. So, he definitely, I think, again, when the game came out,
so frustrating, right? It's like in a vacuum is like if we were making no transfers, right? In that made up world where we are talking about 38 game weeks, which is really not the way we should talk about players, but it's what everyone runs into anyway. It's hard to be like, Mo's worth 4 million more than Bruno over the course of 38 game weeks. What's frustrating to me is that what will decide those early game weeks, if you made the right call between like going Mo or
if they
not
get pens
Mo,
or not,
it's just pens. That's it.
Pens. Yeah.
If Man United get 2 pens in the first 4 games, you're an idiot. You should have picked him instead of Mo. If they don't, then great pick. Mo's way better in every way.
Absolutely. That's the difference between him getting like 3, 6, 2, and 12, 6. 18 or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's fucking hell.
I do love pens so much. Like, I love having no, not in, in my team. Like, I love,
in my team. Yeah, but that's what I think.
I'm like that.
Deep down, that's what I sort of meant, even though I couldn't find the words for it. Why, like, it feels way better having Bruno than rooting against Bruno, right? Because we've all just, the fucking final whistle blew. Oh, just kidding. Bruno gets a pen. Like, that's happened to all of us in FPL. And it's just like, this is so dumb. McAllister, right? Like, oh, he did nothing all game. Oh, Pan, Max Bones, like, fuck you, Matoma, worst pick. We're idiots, right?
Yeah,
like,
and that's the other thing is I try, I go through all these different, psychological tests of myself, and I'm like, which would I feel more like a fucking dumb cunting idiot if I don't have Rash and Rash gets points, or if I don't have Bruno and Bruno gets points? And the answer is it's equivalent. I will feel like a dumb
they're
fucking
both bad,
idiot
right? They're
if
both
I don't
really
have
bad.
either of them and they get points. They're both going to get points. Like, it's like,
yeah,
fuck.
and their Rash is 42% owned and Bruno's 23% owned.
So I don't know. I mean, I still want both.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford it. To make a team with Mo,
not with
Rash,
Trent. Not with Trent.
And Bruno and Trent?
No, not with. I mean, you have to Saka, or you have to do some crazy shit. You have to go with. You'd have a few cheap guys. It's just bad, I think. All right, so Rash, and the other thing with Rash is difficult. Like we were talking about, price hikes versus price decreases. Like we like buying low.
We're buying him at the peak of his.
We're peak buying here.
We're buying high.
And we talk about he had that hot finishing little run.
Yeah.
At the same time, but out of both sides of our mouths, like we're like, okay, well, we expect him to sort of like not do that again, but we also expect him to be like the main goal scorer on the team. So kind of which is it? It's
sort like it's the way that I would word that is like he'll have a run at some point. We just don't know when it is. Right? Like everyone has ups and downs over the course of a season. He was useless in the first half of the season. I think he scored 3 goals.
Yeah, pre-World Cup. Well, he was getting fit.
Yeah, he was getting fit. He had like one big game against Arsenal. I don't even remember. I think he scored against Liverpool too. And then he just happened to have his heater and like all the form right after World Cup when everyone got him, and they had a decent run, and they had the doubles, and that's part of the reason why everyone got him. It was just kind of luck that we all had him.
Yeah. But yeah, it was also so cheap, so it was easy.
Yeah, and it was cheap. Yeah. It was easy, and so we're kind of you just have to make a decision and when to get a guy, and we're hoping that. I mean, listen, there's the home bankers that we mentioned, right? Home Wolves, home NFO. Those are 2 of the bottom 5 teams in the league, probably. So great, it doesn't get better than that. At Spurs might be a banger.
Yeah, for goals, it should be. Their first game at home, they're going to be all over the place.
They don't know what the fuck.
Yeah, they don't know what they're doing.
It's going to be Dyer, Romero, Poro, and
running all over the place.
Or something
Talk
like
about
that.
fucking pens. That is a pen game for Bruno.
That's pen 18. It's
pen
fucking
15.
New Italian keeper who knows what he's about. I mean, it just... So, I mean, all 3 games, I think you can argue are good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Who's next?
That was a lot of words to say nothing, but let's move over to
we
Arsenal.
Didn't actually make decisions, but I mean, I feel like we're just realistic and everyone's not realistic. Like everyone goes on their fucking little pods and it's like, this guy nailed in my team. Great.
Oh, fuck me. I'm going to have neither of them. I'm 3 steps away from having neither of them. Who knows?
It's 3.5 weeks away. They will each come in and out of my tinkers 50 times over the next 3 weeks.
Oh my God.
That's a guarantee.
For sure. Absolutely. What are we looking at over here? So
Sonny,
we got
9.0. David said, what's going on at Spurs? Is Son the great value he looks like, or should we be looking Madison, someone else, or no one? Where are you at on Sonny Boy? He was in your tinker, right?
Yeah, he was one of the first names in when I saw his price. I was interested when you said I think he's accurately priced. It got me like thinking a lot more deeply about Son. So I was like, wait, what? Because I was so far away from that as a thought. That didn't enter into my mind.
Yeah.
I don't know. What are you?
He's
still
talking the talk. He's definitely talking the talk.
Yeah,
all
he
his
wants to
preseason
show
quotes are like
the true Sonny.
Yeah, I need to show the true Sonny. I'm not going to Saudi Arabia. Fuck that shit. I think he said was the direct quote. I mean, he always used to be around this price, right? He was always
9.5,
between 8 and 9.5, and he would have a really good run and then be hurt the rest of the season and finish on 160 or whatever the fuck, and that always felt kind of right. Then he exploded for 2 seasons before having the nightmare of last season where he had a hernia all season. He's also old.
Yeah, Mo tax.
So it's easy to just be like, oh, he had a hernia all season. Like, but he's older than Mo. And he has a lot of minutes in his legs, and he's always been injury prone.
Yep.
And he might have just fallen off the cliff in a way that we sometimes see with guys who like rely on pace and rely on beating a man, and rely on just elite finishing more than other stuff.
Yeah, I think that's the big question mark is he going to return to form of 2 seasons ago and his downturn was due to the injury, or is this, no, he's just not as good anymore?
Right.
And, I tend to believe in the former, not the latter, because
there is a reason.
You have something to, like,
there's
with
an
Mo,
actual
it's like,
thing.
No, yeah, like with Mo, it's like, no, he can't do that anymore. We watch, he's not fast enough. The other thing with Son is like, it's just literal pace. Like with Mo, it seems to be like dribbling. I don't know, like the way the areas.
Son, it's way more than just pace. I mean, he finished under his XG for the first time in his career.
No, I'm saying like for him to return, like it's like I feel like where he picks the ball up and like the chances he gets and he has gotten like on the counter versus like what Mo has had to do. I don't know what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter, but I still love Son. I still feel like at 9
he's
that there's
very lovable.
Yeah, I still feel like at 9 that there's value there. And, he has very good pedigree.
What do you think of Spurs, though? Because that's part of this, right?
Yeah, I mean, I see them similarly to like Chelsea that, they have a lot of good players. They don't have a good defense, but I think that they're going to just concede and score, so I just feel like Son's a good bet to come back to, levels that we're used to seeing him, around like the 18 goal mark or something like that.
Yeah.
And, that's, when he does that, he's a 200-point player and he's, he
right.
should be, 10-5 or something like that.
Right.
Still like he's being priced down as though like, oh yeah, he's just a worse player now. And I don't buy that. So, it's, he's in no teams, he's 9 million. And I think it's back to kind of what you were touching on more with Mo is that like you get the bankable guy, you're flexible to go down, you buy yourself
some time. Good.
Do you want to bet on this before game week 1 when he's a huge differential, or do you want to just not be the first guy to the stable and, wait a couple games and join when everyone else does? I think that's just what it looks like to me.
I think that's what it is. I think it's as simple as that. It's like, because everyone knows what good Son looks like. But it's not going to take long to just be like, oh shit, Son is cooking, and just like, and their first 2 are kind of bad, right? They're at Brentford, home, and United.
Well, they're good counter. That's the thing, is they're bad on paper, but they're good for Son because those are counter games.
Whatever that means. I don't know what's good or bad, but they get really green after that because it's at Bournemouth, at Burnley, home, Sheffield.
Yeah.
If they're playing well, if the Ange has dominating, creating a lot of chances, Matto looks good, Kane is there creating chances also, whatever the fuck. Yeah, maybe we'll jump like Mo to Son or something game week 3. I don't know. But there's also the whole issue that we haven't mentioned, and I don't really want to talk about it that much, but like if Kane goes to Bayern or some shshit.
Yeah, that would be a problem.
Like what is Son the striker? Is he out of position?
Yeah, I have no clue. It could be Rich, could be Son.
Is Son on pens?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe it would be Matto, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I mean I think we could leave that for another day.
Yeah,
if
we'll
it
actually leave that, but it's something in the back of our minds for sure.
Yeah, but I mean the team as it's currently constructed. I mean, with Ange, people are talking about, oh well, wingers stay wider in him. Son's kind of more like an inside striker, forward. Like what's going to happen? But look, dude, and people are talking like, oh, he likes his 9 playing in the box and around tip of the spear. I mean, that's all well and good for whatever the fuck he did at Celtic in Ireland or wherever the fuck country that team is. Who gives a shit? It doesn't matter. When you get here to this division and you see the players you have, if he knows what he's doing, he's going to put the team in the best position to succeed. And that is with Kane creating chances. I mean, that's what, and occasionally joining up, for Son, that's, and Matto creating chances. I mean, that's when this team is at its best. So, I still do like Son a lot, and I'm still very seriously considering him for my game week 1 team. I mean,
it's just hard.
It's just hard to fit everyone. There's so many good players.
Yeah, there's just so many. And again, it's Mo. For me, it's Mo in that conversation, right? Because I don't like, compared to Man United guys we just talked about, compared to the Arsenal guys we're about to talk about, who are the same price. I'm like, no. I'm not going to go Son over these guys that are so much more bankable, in my opinion. Like, Spurs could just be 8th best team in the league, and everyone would just be like, yeah, that's fine, But like, we know Arsenal and Man United are pretty decent.
Yeah, we do. The thing with Son, though, is that, we talk about this historically. How many midfielders have hat-trick potential? There's 3 or 4. Son is one of them. There just aren't very many of those players. I wouldn't even say Saka is that. Like, I think it's Rash,
I don't think
Mo, and Son. Those are like the 3
Does
midfielders
Rash even
in the
have
game.
that?
I think so, because he does. He doesn't have pens, but he does attack so much. he is like a forward. He has games where he can get 3 or 4 chances.
A Premier League hat trick, which is unbelievable. How could that be right?
Yeah, but I see him in that way. So I think that's where Son is attractive to me.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah, you don't forget Raz.
Oh my God!
Don't forget Raz hat trick potential. Jeff just touched fucking wood. Odegaard 8.5, Saka 8.5, Martinelli 8.
Yeah, go ahead.
I haven't really wavered from thinking Martinelli is just the best and cheapest
over Saka
and best donger. Yeah, but I think both is very real. I'm not trying to say that Saka's a bad pick. He's an incredible pick. I just think if I was gonna have one, I'd rather probably just save the 0.5. Wow, Saka has the pens, but I think the donger in open play is more attractive to me. And he is the striker. I can't emphasize
Jesus
that
plays,
enough. Jesus plays, or Jesus' backup plays, who's I guess is Kai. Martinelli's the striker in both of those situations.
Yeah. That's a true story.
His only dip last season was when Jesus was hurt before they got Tross, and he had to play wing.
Yeah,
and he was just doing wing stuff, and his goals fell off. He even got dropped for like a couple games here or there.
Yeah.
Every other part of the season before that and after that, he was an absolute dongfest.
Yeah.
Absolute dongfest.
Yeah.
I like that.
You do like that. Yeah, Martinelli's probably getting, very egregiously slept on in general.
Look at the percentage. Saka's 52.4, Odegaard's 20.4, Martinelli's 13.9.
Yeah, Saka, the pen's big deal, is the main man.
Yeah, I think
assists.
The fame and the England and the
riding
the rainbow unicorn. He's awesome. Like, everyone loves him, including me. He rocks. I'm rooting for him. He's cool. He's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Odegaard's still,
he's your guy.
I have started to play with him in and out. The Kai situation is a little bit concerning because
it's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, just because, right? Odegaard last year was doing, like I was saying on the last one, I was like, he got better at doing those things of shooting, joining in the box, but that's not what he's done in his life, he is more of like, I'll chip in from deep and I'll put in the set pieces, but I'm not going to be striking or being, the 10 whatever position, like joining in those ways. And maybe with Kai means that he might be a little bit deeper. Unlike with Bruno, I think that this is an actual FPL dent, because Bruno is just psychopathic and does all that shit. He does everything all the time. Yeah. We've seen him do everything all the time for years. Odegaard is we haven't seen him do that all the time. We saw him do that for a very small period of time last year because, Xhaka couldn't run and, they needed that. So the thing though, too, with Odegaard is watching him is, in my opinion, he's their best player, easily their best player. And, when I was over in Hawaii with Senny, he's just first question is how much is Odegaard? He's our best player. He's got to be in. And I'm just oh, right. Yeah, you're right. He is the best player. He is too cheap and he should be in. But, there are fucking 20 players that should be in and we don't have 20 spots.
Yeah.
There are
they're
question
all
marks
too cheap.
there.
And they're
all too cheap. They're all good. They're all too cheap. And this is the kind of thing, right, with Arsenal that, unlike with Son, where it's let's fucking check out Spurs and see what's going on with Spurs. Son's good. Okay, let's get Son. You could watch 85 Arsenal games in 3 weeks and talk yourself into a different one of these players after every 3 games. You are stuck with whoever you pick, unless if they get injured, because you're going to see enough from Jesus, from Saka, from Odegaard, from Martinelli to not switch from one of them to another one of them.
Yeah.
So this is probably like the most important decision that you make is how many Arsenal attackers and which ones do you get?
It is and it isn't, because I think long term, as we saw last year, like they'll all finish around the same amount of points. Like they're all basically great and going to get a lot of points. But in short term, it's like, it might be a difference between 30 points. I mean, Martinelli might score no goals for 5 games, and these guys, Saka gets 2 pens.
Yeah,
and
you're being laughed
whatever.
at.
Yeah, and like that's very real, and that's scary, and I hate that, but that's FPL, baby. Yeah, and I mean, even though Arsenal fell off a cliff the second half of the season, they were still pretty good. It's not like they went from best/second best team in the league to bad. They went from best/second best team in the league to like 4th best or 5th best team. Whereas Spurs and Son, we have no idea what the fuck they are, because they were nowhere near 5th best last season.
Very true. No possible counterpoint to that.
Yeah, right. And so I feel like Arsenal's floor is, 4th best, and that's really high. And these guys are all underpriced, and there's definitely an argument for just tripling up, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it comes back to, how much risk do you want to absorb? Because, even Mo, there's more risk with Mo, I think, than Arsenal play. Sure, they're getting a new 6 who's just, objectively better than what they had last year. And Kai, how is he going to play? But Kai could just sit on the fucking bench for a few weeks. Who gives a shit? Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Jesus fit, we know what they do. Just put Rice in for Partey, and that's just strictly better. They just have very similar players up and down the 11. Everyone knows what they're supposed to be doing. They have fucking easy ass fixtures. NFO, Fulham at home, Palace.
Yeah, I mean, Everton. 3 of their first 5 are home NFO, home Fulham, at Everton.
Yeah. So
bangers.
Yeah, good picks. They're all good picks. A lot of good picks.
Yeah, they're all good picks, and figuring out which one to avoid, if you're going to avoid one, I don't fucking know.
Yeah,
flip a coin, man. Flip a 3-sided coin.
Yeah, it's and then I think we could skip Jota and go to forwards. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we're not talking about Jota, but I do want to say with the Kai thing that I feel like your gut is onto something there, is basically all I want to say, is that like just adding another, because like he's supposedly playing the other attacking 8, right? Just adding another guy who's going to be taking those touches, putting in those crosses, taking some of the shots. I feel like it all just takes things off of Odegaard's plate and isn't going to be made up for in some other capacity. Kind of like what you were saying. Yeah. It's like one or the other. They can't just attack with 6 players at all times.
No, they can't. And I think ultimately, say that is the midfield he lines up with, with Rice in between them.
Yeah.
It could make Odegaard actually like way better IRL, but not FPL.
Right.
Which is you're taking off the FPL things we care about off his plate and allowing him to do all the other bits way better. Just being that much deeper, making sure that the ball gets taken care of in these areas so that they can continue their attacks. But he just might not be participating in them as much.
Right.
There is something in that.
It's not dissimilar to like Kev, which was 2 years ago when he just needed to score 15 goals.
Yeah.
Which was exactly coincidentally what Odegaard got last season.
I agree.
And then they got Haaland, and they're like, you don't need to do that anymore.
Just don't go into the final third ever.
Yeah, just okay, cool. Stop shooting. And he went down a shot per 90, and Odegaard last season went up a shot per 90 from where he normally was at every other stop. So I think there is something to that, and I think I would rather have Saka and Martinelli over Odegaard. But I hear you. I mean, he's your guy. He's Senny's guy. He's very, very far from a bad pick. So
yeah. All right, forward. So are we doing 8 and up, or what did we say?
8 and up. I think we should just start with Jesus since we're just not do that.
Let's just do Kane and Haaland and wrap it, because I don't think the next one's going to be as long, and we can bomb these few 8 guys in there, I think.
Yeah. That sounds good. So
let's just do
8.5
Kane and Haaland. Yeah. So Haaland, go ahead. Good player. He's decent.
Good player, good pick. Ray said the meta last season was multiple premiums, Kane, Mo, Erling, or at least two of them. However, a lot of FPL drafts are including just Erling. It's not particularly difficult to fit in a two-mium, but it generally seems that other picks offer too much value over Mo and Kane if we're mostly capping Erling. Are we falling into a trap about to get punished by Mo and Kane? So that's kind of what we were talking about with Mo. You sort of planted the seed in my head of no Holland last pod, and I had my good season last season. This might be my season to fuck around a little bit, but
oh man,
I don't know, man.
It just can't be Game Week 1.
Well, it can.
I mean, they have these promoted teams they're playing. Like everyone's fit. Sorta. He's fit.
But they have like European games in between. They have like basically no preseason, and he fucking sucked down the stretch last season under the radar.
So you're talking to me about all your Luster and Gale with Mo and Trent because you don't have Holland in this draft. You're telling me?
No, I do. I do still have Holland in the draft that I have open right now. But the reason I'm even talking about no Holland is because all of these midfielders that we just talked about, I want to just put them all on my team.
I know.
And Holland is a big reason I can't get all of them.
Yeah.
Because he's fucking
ultimately
over double the cost, basically.
Yeah. Ultimately, I still believe that, in this, say, let's even extend it down to the 7-5 bracket. I even like Raz, Matto, Foden, like there are some 7-5 guys I could seriously destroy their prices. There are a lot of picks in there that some of them will emerge. Enough will emerge that they should be, automatic in your 11 that, once we get the idea of the landscape, we can have an idea if we can go without Holland or not. Like if you can try and make those points up and do something a little funky. But for Game Week 1, I mean, making those bets sight unseen with just preseason feels like it's fucking so stupid to do.
Yeah, it is. It is. Right now, 3 weeks up from the season, I have no defense for going no Holland. Everyone should just be on him. It's really boring. It's really stupid. That's
86% of teams.
Yeah. The only reason you wouldn't do it is if you're just trying to have some fun, trying to do something else. You want to captain an Arsenal player home NFO instead of away Burnley, Holland, or something like that. And that's the only way you can make up for it. Yeah. It's like if you're going in, you're like, I'm going to cap Saka or Martinelli, then I'm going to cap Mo, and then, maybe I'll figure out Game Week 3 or some shit. I don't know. But it's just so boring. I mean, I don't have like a better word for it. It's just so not interesting to me to just every single team have Holland and just start playing the game with 10 players and down 14 mil. And I'm just like,
it's also the game that I'm going to spend so much time.
Yeah, it's not. No, the fun thing is having 5 sick fucking mids.
Yeah.
That's the fun thing.
Well, you could do that with Holland. That's what that was what I had before.
Yeah,
you just don't have Trent. Right. That's very easy to get. Very easy to get to.
It's just, there's nothing to say. You should have him. You should captain him. He's the best.
Well, I guess the one thing you could say, say you're playing this game and you want to like win the game or something.
Yeah.
There are like 50 million players playing FPL. I mean, if you start without him and he is cold at the beginning of the season for a few weeks, that competitive advantage versus like, no, let me just do chalk and then hope that I out edge everybody else by these little 0.5% over the course of the 38 game weeks. You could tell me something about that where it's like, no, this is your best chance, just do this. It's dumb, but dumb shit works all the time over a few games. Maybe he has he ate bad mussels and he's shitting out of his face, who knows? And for a couple weeks and he's not doing anything.
Love
Turf
mussels.
more, Dyche left some poisonous worms or something that
they got to rest him for Turf more for the, for the Super Cup.
You can do that and, it's September 2nd, the first couple weeks pass and your OR 6 million, you're like, well, that was not good.
Yeah.
Or, you're looking at home Fulham or when a Game Week 4 and you're like, oh shit, like I'm fucking 20K a wild card in Holland now or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the more interesting thing to do.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to be the, the fucking lab,
Gabagool.
the lab rat.
All right.
The guinea pig,
there's more to be. Look, we are not here espousing, we are FPL experts. Very far from it. We are a couple of perverse boys trying to have some fun, trying to get, a girl to look and like me and wave or whatever the thing is, right?
We'll
see. There's just
I
a long
didn't
month
get
to
20K because I want to do well and have an impressive rank history. I get 20K in order to make mistakes the next season and feel like okay about it. Like, see, I could get 20K if I want. That's why I'm 1.5 million.
This is the long con.
Yeah. I mean, that's the real reason.
I like it. Okay.
We got one question on Kane, and it's a great question because he was on Hot Ones. You know that show?
No. Oh, it's the hot sauce. Everyone kept posting. I didn't.
Yeah,
watch
the wings shit.
I
didn't watch it either. But Anna wrote in, new Discord member Anna said, "How does Kane's Hot Ones interview affect his preseason fitness? He had 10 wings and 2 glasses of milk. It's 2,200 calories, 57% of which are fat." So off to a bad start for Kane.
Yeah, I suppose I don't know if that's good or bad, but
it seems bad for running a lot.
I mean, 12 and a half. I feel like the only reason why he's a pick is because there's just no other options, right? It's just either it's Mo, him, or Holland, right?
I mean, he's the definition of buying high, right? I mean, everything we said about Mo is not true of Kane. I mean, he is not guaranteed 200 points, and he's had plenty of seasons not reaching those totals or being underwhelming or being too expensive.
Fitness availability is,
So, I mean, there's just no reason for people to go Kane, I don't think, really, out the gate. I mean, sure, he might back-to-back have the best season of his life at 30 or whatever the fuck, but almost no one does that. And he's the same price as Mo. I mean, I would just so much rather have like 8s or like 8.5 mids or whatever the fuck than spend 12.5 on Kane.
Yeah. I mean, this is, I guess you could have Kane or Mo. And I suppose, you can look at the forward landscape and be a lot more pessimistic and down on that group than the mid. Yeah. So you could say, okay, well, I could get Kane and Holland up top, not have to worry about any of these other fucking guys none of whom I really love, which I get that. And then get mids who I love because they're 6'5" and up mids up and down the game that so I see that. But yeah, I agree with you that idea of buying high. I mean, he has been 12.5 before, and he does seem like a fine pick. But I mean, he's not gonna have fucking 30 goals again. I mean, the headers and all that shit was insane last year. He's still good though.
Yeah, he's good. He'll get points.
Points.
Again, it's the same. He's the same price as Mo, and his points are less banked. Less guaranteed on a way worse team, probably. Yeah.
That's for
sure.
So
it's just, I don't know. I just don't really see the case that much.
Well, say you do go without Holland. Like, do you absolutely have Kane and Mo?
No. I haven't actually built this team, but I think the first thing I would do is like 2 Arsenal mids, Mo, 2 Man United mids, or something like that.
Yeah.
And then like that does not leave room for a 12-5 up top, I don't think.
And you'd have to
Trent would be in 100% too.
Yeah. Let me see what that would look like.
So because then you would go like Trent and like some 4-5s or something like that. I'm punching it in as well.
Yeah, let's see.
I like this. This is the most fun part. No one knows what we're doing, but we're in the fucking zone.
There's no noise, no talking.
Yeah, no noise.
6,
just heavy breathing, salivating.
You could make that team easily.
What's the team you just made?
So you have Trent, 5 million defenders, Saka, Rash, Bruno, Mo, Martinelli, and you have like, Watkins and fucking whoever.
Yeah.
It's like fucking Jesus, or not Jesus,
and Cuckoo.
Alvarez or something.
And Cuckoo.
Or you could figure it out. You could do a couple diddles to get there.
Yeah. I mean, this is a fucking really good team.
All right.
That's what's annoying about Holland. It's just so it puts a cap on the fun you could have.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately, I think, why we play the game. But
have fun.
Yeah, we got a lot of other questions, but it's been a very long episode. Yeah. So
we've also talked about though getting points and doing well is also fun.
Also fun. $20K, I gotta admit, unfortunately, was fun.
It was fun.
So maybe I'll try and do well again. I hope you do well this year.
Oh, well, let's relax over there. Easy.
Everything you want is just outside your comfort zone.
Right. I mean, we talked about,
right.
These guys, right? Like Rash or whatever, these 8, 9 guys, making compromises to fit them in. We'll come on to it next week, but Raz, Matto, Foden,
there's so many.
Rich, Bowen, Boom. There are so many players in that
Brighton
region
that
that could just be like, well, fuck it. You don't need these. Sure, these guys are valued, but so are these guys. It's so.
Yep.
It's good. It's a good game. Fun game.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think everyone was mad about the prices because a lot of players seem underpriced, and I do agree with that. But if overall everyone's underpriced, it's good. I mean, there's so many decisions to be made. Yeah. There's so many different configurations that are all good. So that's what we want out of a game.
Yeah, so maybe the pricing is excellent.
It's fine. It almost doesn't matter. I mean, it sort of feels like they felt that way too when they made them.
Yeah, we're all
just just throw these out there and it'll. I mean,
we're all dealing with the same set, same data set. So whether or not you subjectively said too high, too low, value this,
it doesn't matter.
From that last season, they got this point, so they should be this.
Right.
Every pricing is in the landscape of that year in and of itself. So the prices are accurate relative to the rest of the prices this year. So, we're chilling, dude.
Yeah, it's a different puzzle every single year. And the goal is still to figure out how to optimize that. Well, and it's different. What?
For some,
for some. Maybe not my Kumar team. We'll see about that. Let me slap 3 new asses, 3 new Patreon signups. Good to have you, William Frick, NP, and Jeff Petter. Put in there, baby. Slap the ass. That was a fucking long episode. Holy shit. We're back. Right, we're officially back.
Yeah, I'll see you next week. See you tomorrow.
See you next week. See you tomorrow. Check us out at FMLFPL.com. Follow us on Twitter at FMLFPL Sports Patreon.com/FMLFPL. Subscribe, rate, do.